Midwest Whitetail is brought to you by Realtree, Hoyt Archery, Muddy Outdoors, Fuse Accessories, Frigid Forage, Trophy Rock, Scentmaster, Cabela's, Rocket Broadheads, TrailCamPro.com, Bloodsport Arrows, Redneck Hunting Blinds, Scott Archery, Yeti Coolers, and Nikon.
Welcome to Midwest Whitetail. Today's the 13th and just getting started for the season for me. Haven't had really any bucks on patterns specifically. The spot I'm going back to this evening is an area where we were seeing and photographing on the trail camera this buck that we nicknamed Splits last year. Should be a really good buck this year. It's been overall a little bit slow throughout the whole country. Hearing from our pro staff, nobody really is having a lot of action, and don't know for sure what we can attribute that to. You know, it could be a number of things, including deer numbers, EHD die-off, the weather we've been having, the amount of acorns in the timber, but either way it's been pretty slow. So if you haven't been seeing much for activity, don't feel like you're alone, because pretty much everybody's feeling the same thing right now. I'm in the redneck blind now, and the food plot that's out front here, most of the leaves on the beans are dried up and fallen off. There's still some green leaves out there, and I guess from Scott Prucha's experience last night, the deer started to eat the pods now. So I've got a lot of beans in front of me. Off to my right is where the killer stand is located, and I know we've talked about that one quite a bit over the years, but it's only about 50 yards away in this direction. This is an important spot to us this year, and I mentioned it coming in. We've got that buck called Splits. This is basically, as best we can tell, this is right in his core area. And then there's another older 8-pointer that's definitely a mature buck that we would like to take from this spot too. And you never know, as the season goes on, you know, what else we might find here. But this is one of our better spots on the whole farm. We'll talk about it more, I'm sure, as the season goes. But while I sit here this evening waiting for Splits to come out, I'm going to hand you off to Jared Mills. He and his cameraman are hunting on a tree farm over in the Iowa City area. They've been having a lot of action there. The spot's got a lot of history. There's some really great bucks that have come from that spot. So Jared's going to bring us up to date on that. Scott Prucha is going to update us on what he's been seeing. And then we'll come back and I'll bring you the action from this blind before we wrap up the show with some direct nut seeding, where I talk about some of the methods that I use to improve the habitat on this farm.
Well, it's October 5th, and I'm out here night hunting with my buddy Ty Becker. We're actually doing a little doe hunting tonight. This is my first time on this farm. Yesterday it was about 80 degrees, and today a high of 65, and it's supposed to be even colder tomorrow, so usually that means good things for the deer movement. Let's hope that's the case tonight. It's been a fun night in the stand. Deer definitely moving. Hunting on the front end of a cold front has proved true again. We've probably seen close to 20 deer total. last night and this morning we actually killed 5 does, so I'd say we did our job. It's been fun. Well, Dan and I are all set up in the tree. It's miserably hot, probably upper 70s tonight. Not expecting a whole lot as far as deer movement tonight, but just trying to get lucky and shoot a doe. We were actually on this farm this past weekend when the cold front ran through, and were able to put 5 does on the ground. As far as some of the farms around here that I can shoot bucks on, it's going to be fun to try to figure them all out because they're all brand new to me this year. Obviously, hunting a new farm is always a challenge, but these farms in particular, the way they're set up, are going to be even more of a challenge. They're actually planted tree farms, so there's all kinds of pine trees and younger trees planted in rows, which is awesome for the deer because it creates a ton of cover. Landowner's done an excellent job with TSI and different things to improve the habitat even more. But as a hunter, the biggest issue is going to be visibility. Most of the time, you're hunting a pine tree like I am tonight. You can't even see the ground most of the time. There's so much cover below you. My buddies that have been hunting these farms for a while, they say sometimes they're having bucks run by them, grunting, chasing does. A lot of time they can't even tell what it is. It's just so much cover. But figuring it out and finding ways to get the deer to come out in the opening so you can get shots is going to be the toughest part. But like I said, I'm excited to try to figure it out. I think my buddies and I will have a lot of fun hunting these farms this year. A couple of the strategies I think might work is in these natural openings, maybe try to set up a decoy, because a lot of these pine trees, the deer can actually see all the way through underneath them. It's just when you're up in the tree, you can't see the ground, you can't see as far down when you're up high. And the other thing is just hunting those secluded food plots and count on those deer moving in daylight, areas they're comfortable with, coming out and feeding in the clover plots and the winter rye plots. As of right now, we don't have, on the primary farm we're going to hunt this year, we don't have a ton of good bucks that have shown up on camera yet. But from what my buddies have told me from hunting over the years, is this is pretty typical for that farm. The bucks, like clockwork, seem to start showing up late October once hunting starts getting good. But this farm definitely has a history of producing some big deer, so I'm excited to see what shows up here in a couple of weeks. One buck that is showing up right now is a buck we call Mr. Miyagi. He's a really cool old deer. He's actually 6.5 this year. The guys I've been hunting with have video and trail cam pictures of him dating back all the way to 2010, every year since. Ever since he was a 3-year-old. Definitely a very visible deer. He seems to be pretty patternable. We got out the map and put all the spots we have trail cam pictures of him over the years, and seems to have a very small core area even though he's very visible. So those are 2 factors that equate to a very huntable buck, I think. But as far as our plan right now going forward, we're just going to keep monitoring the cameras, wait for some deer to show up, wait for some cooler weather first of all. But I have no doubts there's going to be some good deer rolling through that farm just based on the history of it. And I'm really looking forward to figuring it out and seeing what shows up this year.
Back in the redneck blind tonight. It's October 11th. We had a front move through and the temperature's down quite a bit from yesterday. I think it was about 68 degrees when we walked in here tonight. And it was close to 80 when I sat out last night with very little deer movement. So we're hoping for better things tonight. This blind is on the small farm and we've got a couple things going for us. We've got an awesome big and beastie plot right behind us. So it's going to be good late season. In fact, the deer, what they usually do, they start in this bean field right below us, and they'll come out of the timber, they'll feed there a little bit and work their way up to the turnips, and they're already browsing the leaves on those. This bean plot in front of us is actually that plot that I had the hot zone deer exclosure fence on. So about 3 weeks ago we pulled that fence off and these beans are doing great. There's actually still some green beans in there. I'm almost wondering if I should have waited longer to take that fence down, but like I said, it's October 11th. We're about 2 weeks away from the pre-rut. I know the turnips are going to last
So we've got a lot of food here on the farm for them. One other part of my update here is the other farm where I was getting pictures of lean-to, that great big tall frame 10-pointer. I moved some cameras around to try and get a better read on exactly where he was going. And sure enough, one of the nights, he came through right where I expected, back up into the corner of my property. Thick bedding area, I never go in there. It's almost impossible to hunt because I can't get at it without pushing deer out. So that's the sanctuary. They come out into these big CRP fields. Problem is, no trees. We've used some ground blinds in the past, but the fields, there's 44 acres of CRP there. Hard to get the right spot for these deer. What we've done is I've taken an old grain wagon, we've converted it with a steel top, and basically made a mobile blind. After hunting tomorrow, we're gonna take the old mobile blind out where we think we might be able to get a crack at this buck lean-to, because this deer comes out real late and he comes back right at first light when the rut's around. And it might be an overnight sit. Just camp out in the blind overnight and be there for first dawn in the morning, because you can't get down on this big bottom without bumping every deer out in the morning. So there's just no access point.
October 13th, and the mobile blind is in place. It was a little project getting it back here. We just putted along, but it came in fine. We're actually in a spot where it's really hard to hunt. As you can see, it's just CRP, low trees, no real place to get a tree stand in. And the one thing that I've noticed is a lot of these deer, there's a couple little spots, like right at the end of this willow strip, where these deer will funnel through. And we've got ag fields, alfalfa. I've got a couple food plots in here in the CRP. And what these deer do is they come out of this big timber behind me, they work their way up at night, and they work their way back into the timber in the morning. So one of the strategies that I think we might have a chance on that buck that I call lean-to is if he gets used to this blind and accepts it, we might be able to have an overnight stay in the blind and try and catch him in the morning. It's the only time I've ever seen daylight movement on that deer is right before first light, heading back up into this corner. So that's the plan. We will see if it works. I'm anxious to sit in. It's pretty cool inside. So unique techniques for lean-to. We're going to try it out.
Been in the blind about 45 minutes now, and just had that 1 2-year-old buck come out so far. It's not surprising that we haven't seen much yet. It's real warm and super still, so I expect the movement's probably going to be right at last light today. I want to take a couple minutes and introduce one of our new sponsors, and that's ScentLok. We'll be working with ScentLok now starting this year, and the liner that they make, the Base Slayers garment, is a perfect complement to go with the suit that I've been working with Cabela's, the scent containment suit. So you got the scent containment suit that bottles in the odor, and then you've got the ScentLok product inside that absorbs that odor so that it doesn't linger on the inside of the garment. That was the biggest weakness that I saw with the scent containment type of a system, is that you can't do anything with the odors. They get bottled up inside, and then you take the suit off and you throw it in your scent-proof tote or in your scent-proof bag, and now you've got the body odors from the inside that are contaminating the rest of the garment. So starting this year now, we're going to be working with ScentLok, not only with this product, the Base Slayers. I'll also be collaborating with ScentLok and Cabela's to produce a new scent containment suit that incorporates the ScentLok activated charcoal right in the design. So that will be, I guess 2014 is when we're going to develop that, and then 2015 that'll be on the market. So look for that in the future. But in the short term, now we've got the perfect system, I think, for the scent containment in conjunction with the ScentLok Base Slayers. A couple fawns just came out while we were doing that segment. But before we get too far into this hunt, I wanted to bring you that direct nut seeding segment like I mentioned. This is a project that we did on the farm last week.
My project for today is to plant acorns on this 5-acre strip on this field. This was a CRP renewal, and you have to do certain things within those CRP renewals in order to get the number of points that you need to get accepted back into the program. And sometimes it can be as simple as just planting native grasses. I elected to take a 5-acre strip out of this field and plant trees into it. And the contract calls for putting maple on here, but what I'm doing right now is I'm going to till it up this fall, plant some acorns in here this fall, then if they don't take, then I'll come back and hit it real hard with maple in the spring. So that's the master plan here. And it starts with creating a seed bed. I'm doing it with the tiller, the Cabela's tiller, and you can do it with a disc, or you can do it any other way that you want to. And the material I've read on this suggests that the seed bed needs to be of a quality that you would plant a commercial crop into. So you want to have a real nice, well-tilled seed bed. Then I'm going to hand distribute or hand broadcast the acorns to the rate of about 4 bushels per acre. And the trick there is, I'm sure there's some kind of a machine out there you could use to spread them, but I'm just going to go ahead and spread them by hand. I've done it before. In fact, we've done, I think, 27 or 28 acres of direct nut seeding on this farm already with real good success. So you get them spread out, you get a pretty good feel for how far to spread and how thick to spread them after doing a few of them. Get them spread, come right in right away and disc them and incorporate them into the ground. Then it would be ideal at that point if you could pack it, or even more ideal if you're doing it the day before it rains. If you're putting in any white oak, they're a fall germinator. They would like to put their root down right away. So you don't want to leave them on top of the ground. At the same time, you don't want them with a lot of air pockets around them in the ground, incorporated. You would like them to be in there and packed. And you can either pack it manually, or you can catch a rain, and then that rain has about the same effect of packing the dirt in around these acorns. Reds are better than whites. I would say that from our experience here, at least half of the red oak acorns germinate and produce a small tree. White oaks, anywhere from 10% to 25% probably. So when we were planting these things originally, we were putting in a lot heavier on the white versus the red. And that's what we're doing this time around too. So we disc it, pack it, and then we're done. So I'm getting my acorns delivered tomorrow morning. I'm going to have this thing all tilled up and ready to go. And I'll have the disc. I think I've got a 7-foot disc arrow for this Cabela's tractor that I'll bring back again tomorrow morning. And as soon as we spread those seeds out, we'll go ahead and disc them in. It was pretty dead back in there this evening. Got real still, just dead still. But it seems like when it gets that still, the deer just don't move. And I think what they do is they just stay back and listen, because they can hear everything. And we'll see that with the deer that do come out. Any little sound, a car going by on the road or anything, they just lock up and they'll stand and they'll listen for 5 minutes in that direction. Whereas if it's windy, they don't even hear that sound at all. They just are oblivious to it, and they just go on feeding and doing what they normally do. Where we have 2 small bucks and 2 fawns came out total. So I've got to really start to change gears and get ready for the rut. I've got to find a couple of bucks to hunt. If we can't find anything, we're going to have to look elsewhere, potentially public land. So it's going to be an important week, making some decisions, getting some cameras out. I'll talk about that next week, and anything else that comes up. There'll be plenty of guys hunting, so we should have some more stories to tell. Well, I appreciate you joining us. We'll see you right back here again next week for the next episode of Midwest Whitetail. And remember to always dream big.